Albatross here again with the Cypher Unlimited crew -1, unfortunately, but I'm joined by the magnificent Alpha Dean, or just simply Dean. And just as a quick reminder, if you haven't, please be sure to follow us here on Twitch and to subscribe to us on YouTube. It'll really help our channel out a bunch. But Dean, what are we doing here tonight?
Well, even though we're -1, we still, as this old saying goes, the show must go on. So we're going to have the show go on. And today we're just going to talk about like some early memories, like when we first came into gaming, or some, faithful event, what our first memories are of gaming. And of course, anybody out in the audience who decides they want to, say hello, hi, ask a question or two, throw in their 2 cents, feel free. It's going to be a real relaxed night, but you know what? We know we need to still be out here and be seen. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And yeah. Al?
Yeah, should be a nice chill night.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. We did say we were -1. Guys, I'm sorry. Just so everybody knows, Anthony is fine. He's okay, but there's technical difficulties in New York City. Apparently, the internet is out across different boroughs and so on and so forth. And he probably won't have internet back until, I don't, he said maybe after midnight. If something happens and he pops in, well, you'll see Anthony with us. If not, then it'll just be the 2 musketeers until we can get our buddy back and rolling. So sorry about that. I just wanted to let everybody know Anthony is fine. Just some technical difficulties we can't overcome tonight.
I mean, he is with us here in the chat. So hi, Anthony.
Anthony!
Miss you, buddy. But yeah, like Dean said, we're going to be talking about some of our earliest role-playing memories. Just a nice, chill little talk, just so you get maybe a little background on us, a little nostalgia feelings, and just a nice little talk. It's actually inspired by a little conversation I had with our buddy Stormbringer, or Mike, last night. We're just shooting the shit, and it happened to come up. So I was like, oh, why don't I tell the whole internet? I don't think the whole internet has heard this story. So I think it's a good one. But yeah, maybe I have mentioned it before. I don't know. But either way, so one of mine is, and this is, again, going back maybe 20, 21 years. I was maybe 13, 14 years old at this point. And for me, one of my role-playing experiences, my first role-playing experience, was something that wasn't even a role-playing game, per se. I was a very avid user of AOL at the time. For those who don't know, it's America Online. And I would frequent the chat rooms there. And one way or another, I don't even recall right now how it happened, I ended up in a group chat and I guess a forum dedicated to role-playing one-on-one PvP fights. It was really weird, I guess, looking back at it, because that's all we did, and there was no system. It wasn't D&D. There was, like, I believe, some loose dice rolls. I don't even think there were skills or anything. You kind of just described what your character did, and you did it, and then you rolled dice to see if it worked. I completely forget how, it's so long ago. But what I found really, thinking back about it, what was really fun and interesting about it was this was like an organized thing. They had rankings, they had judges who would come and monitor these like PvP fights, and I loved it. This was my first time really role-playing with anybody, and I didn't know what D&D was. I had no idea what D&D was at this time, like not a clue. Like this was off my radar completely, like no idea. And so this is what I did. This is how I role-played early on in my, I guess, role-playing life. And I don't remember too much about my character other than he was basically an Akuma OC. It was because this was a martial arts, like, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter type role-playing fighting. And my guy was literally just basically Akuma with a different name. Like, he had the big beads, he had a gi, he had, dark stand-up hair. And one other interesting tidbit about this story was how I came up with his name. So back then, and even still now, I like to play with words for names. Like, I always enjoy, like, Well, nowadays what I do is I'll look up a word in another language, like Latin or whatever. It's usually the first language I look at will be Latin for a word, and then I'll mess with the word and kind of turn it into a name. Back then, though, it's a little more simple. So I was looking at a bottle of, I forget what kind of Snapple drink, but it was in one of those long, clear bottles. And I was just looking at the ingredients. And one of the ingredients was something like Shizara or Shizar, something like that. I added a couple letters and I came up with Shinzandra. Do you know the ingredient I'm talking about? Because I have no idea. I don't remember. But I added a couple of letters here and there, and that's how I came up with the name Shinzandra. And I still use that name on certain websites and stuff. I still use that username.
That's hilarious.
But that's basically my first really memory of role playing, was doing this silliness, and it's wild to me that there was a third party who watched this roleplay session go down to verify results. Oh, there was a time.
I remember those when those chat rooms and forums were around. I spent some time on a few of those myself, and I said 1,000 times over. I've told everybody, my first experience with RPGs was my brother, who brought the D&D box set home from the military, taught me how to play. But I figured, why not talk about something that was pretty interesting, was when I first realized there were other role-playing games, other genres. And it's like, it was crazy because the first thing I ever got my hands on was Star Frontiers. And my brain exploded because I was watching Star Trek at the time as a kid. You watching Star Trek, and you're looking at all these races in the book, and it was just something like, it was literally like finding role playing all over again, because I started, like I said, in 77, so this was like 81, 82 that I got this book, and it was like starting all over again. It was like, whoa, man, look, a Yazarian and a Drellsite, and you were like, and the fact that the Yazarians could, like, glide through the air, and they had night vision and all this. It was just like all of this extra stuff. So needless to say, that started the period in my life when I could never like get a character past like fifth level, because I was always making another character because I wanted to play. Oh man, this concept came up and that concept. So I was just deluged with like ideas of characters to play. But then of course, being the forever game master, always had an idea for a story, and it was funny because we were playing Star Frontiers, and the TV show, The $6 Million Man, was on TV at the time. Steve Austin, that's the original Steve Austin. A lot of you young folks would think about the wrestler. Well, when we say Steve Austin, we're talking about Steve Austin, the $6 Million Man, Lee Majors. But it was crazy because that show was on at the time, and then we got Star Frontiers, and the guy, who introduced us to Star Frontiers, he ran one game, and his game wasn't set like in the far future. It was just like on the edge of space travel and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of cool because we were like having bionic people in the game, and we were just breaking rules left, right, central. You'll learn back from like any old school gamers out there that we broke rules all the time. We just made stuff. We didn't have a consensus, yeah, roll the dice. Yeah, that was fun. Okay, yeah, that's how we're gonna do that. That was how a lot of house rules came about.
I mean, that's always the fun way to play it at home, right? Because that's kind of like, I guess, what I was doing, like, in those chat rooms, because we didn't have a system. Like, you just you describe something cool and you roll the dice, and if you rolled high enough, or if you, like, I think we did, like, competitive rolls, like head-to-head. Mm-hmm. So as long as you rolled better than the guy you were role-playing against, it worked. Like, there was no system behind it. You just did it because it was cool. And there's something so, like, pure about that. Like, I don't know, it's just, it brings out like when you're not constrained by, I guess, the thoughts of a mechanic or a system, it really frees you to just run with your imagination. It's definitely a time I remember fondly. Yeah, yeah. But that's wild though. And you're here like $6 million man. And I'm like, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. And isn't that the thing like the shut da 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 shut da 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 da, like the running, the slow motion running?
Yeah, very slow motion. Yeah, you every time he took off running, you da na na na. And when he jumped, it would go na 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 na.
So let's take a look at the chat here. We do have a couple people commenting on like what their first foray into the role playing were, and at the top here we have our good buddy Gonza Gaming. They're saying his was running the Redbox BX. I don't know what BX means, but and the Gamma World, killing one-eyed chickens. That didn't come out right.
Yeah.
So maybe you can enlighten me. What is BX? What does that mean?
Basic edition.
Okay. Yeah, that's well before my time.
Yeah, well, see, it was funny. D&D, they did some interesting things back then because there was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, but then they came out with the Basic Edition and then the Expert Edition and then the Advanced Edition. So it was like 3 different boxes. It was a red box, a blue box, and a black box, and they were all box sets that all had varying levels of mastery built into it. Of course, if you were playing advanced D&D, then you were you considered yourself superior.
I mean, I will say that most of the time when I see was it first edition mentioned when people are running it these days, it's usually a D&D that I see get mentioned.
Yeah, that's but yeah, there was the different boxes at the time, and then of course, like I said, there was an influx in the early 80s of a lot of different type of games that just started coming about. Oh yeah, I forgot about the Immortal Edition box too. That was, I don't remember what color that box was though, but I do remember that one came out.
They on me.
But, it was just like at that time, like in the early 80s when the influx of various games and everybody had a system that they ran their games under, I mean, that's when Boot Hill, I first got introduced to Boot Hill and Paranoia. Boot Hill was an all Western game. And I mean, literally it was Western. It wasn't Weird West or anything like that. It was just like purely Western, but it was cool, because you're making cowboys, and then, Paranoia, the computer is your friend. I mean, the premise of Paranoia, right, Al?
Yeah, I believe Paranoia, and again, let me describe it first because I think it's kind of hilarious to have someone describe something they don't know, they just what they've heard about it. Yeah, so let's see how accurate it is. So what I've heard about Paranoia is you play as clones, if I recall correctly, and the computer that makes you or like that oversees the people basically tries to kill you, and your goal is to try to get to the computer to turn it off or disable it or escape. Again, I'm
basically it's a post-apocalyptic world, and the computer is paranoid, and it thinks everybody is out to get it, and technically it is because computer. I mean, I remember the first time I played Paranoia, it was just crazy. One of the best stories ever was I'm sitting there playing, and the GM slides a piece of paper over to me, and you open the piece of paper and it goes, "This is the computer. I love you. You love me. And to prove your love, kill the guy sitting next to you."
No, what?
Yeah.
Yo, I think I need to play some Paranoia.
Paranoia is complete. It gets insane because you never know what to expect. And the computer is totally paranoid. So yeah.
That's amazing. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, and see, and that's the thing about like being around for a long time. There's like a lot of games that, had like these niche ideas going on. Paranoia was like that. Teenagers from Outer Space is another one. Is Teenagers from Outer Space is like, again, it's another game that's the system is simple. It's a great game to introduce people in, and basically you play in this futuristic world where one of your stats on the on your sheet is relationship with parents. Literally, that's one of your stats. And depending on how good your relationship with your parents is, depends on how things go in game. You actually have you know, in like it's paranoia. I mean, teenagers is hilarious. You could play teenagers for hours. You know, the latest edition of what? Anthony?
Paranoia. He was saying that he thinks it's the perfect one-shot game. I was typing to him in chat, and
Oh
I guess I can
yeah.
say it out loud now that it's being brought up. We should definitely play that at some point. That
Okay,
sounds like a lot of fun.
I'm down with it.
I'm
I'm
all
definitely
down.
down to.
But let's go back a little bit in the chat here just for more people's memories. So we got Stormbringer next, who said his first memory was D&D first edition in a buddy's basement in 8th grade, 1978. Wowie wow wow. That was well before I was born.
Well, I was in. See, I got him by 1 year. I got him by 77.
Oh, but that's amazing though. And dwarf fighter, that's definitely a good choice right there. I love dwarves and I love fighters, so good choice there for your first character. Do you remember the character's name though? That's a bonus
Yes.
question. Oh, you remember your first character's name?
My first character in D&D was a dwarven thief named Regnock Spilding.
It's amazing. And let's see who else we got here.
Oh, Anthony.
Oh yeah,
He says
Anthony.
my first RPG experience was in 7th grade. It was my 7th grade English teacher, Mr. Fimmer. He gave us The Hobbit as a reading assignment, and when me and a few others really loved it, he suggested we try D&D, and the rest is history.
That's so cool. I wish I had a teacher who would have done that. Like, don't get me wrong. This is kind of off topic, but I had an amazingly creative, like, few teachers in my, like, what is it, around that age. Did he say was 6th grade, 7th grade?
Seventh
Yeah,
grade,
around
8th grade.
elementary school. I had some great, creative teachers. Like they would, for instance, like we learned our vocabulary through reading music, like lyrics and singing in class and stuff. It was so fun. Like this one teacher even brought us to meet like the Bare Naked Ladies, and we saw Rent live because he was friends with like some of the crazy time. But I will say, I am a little bit jealous of like having a D&D teacher who was like, "Hey, you should try this."
Well, Anthony was lucky he had a teacher to introduce him to D&D. I was fortunate enough to be alive during the Satanic Panic. And you want to talk about a great story as far as that's concerned? Never forget it. Dr. Foley. She was a proprietor of the 700 Club and Pat Robinson. She watched them faithfully. And she really got upset because we were playing D&D in school, and she called her parents in, and she told her parents that we were literally stalking teachers after school. We were pretending the teachers were the monsters. It was great. Oh, it was awesome. And then she's going off, and when does it end? Tell me, when does the game end? And you know me, I've been a smart ass all my life. So I'm sitting there with my Dungeon Masters guy in front of her. And I've got the book open. And I said, "So, Dr. Foley, have you ever read a book?" "Well, of course." I said, No, but I mean, have you ever read a book where you're like really into it? You become one of the characters in the book. It's just so good that, you just can't help it. So you feel like immersed, right? "Well, of course." I said, "When does it end?" "When I close the book." And I'm sitting there like this, and I went and walked out. Oh yeah, I got in all sorts of trouble for that one, but it was great.
Bro, it's amazing. Oh man.
So yeah, oh yeah. And that was just one of the few times we used to go to the library, our local library, and hang out in one of the rooms there and play. And they decided to come in and they wanted to see what we were doing and all of that. It was so great. We actually got D&D books put in the library, so people could literally check them out after. It's like, you guys are reading all of this stuff? Oh yeah, because we're reading King Arthur and Tales of Excalibur, and you're reading about medieval times, and yeah, that was pretty funny.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've heard lots of stories, obviously, about the Satanic Panic, or that time period, and I'm both kind of glad I missed it, but at the same time kind of sad I missed it, because these stories are wild. Like, that's actually insane that that the principal or whatever have you sat you down for that talk, and yeah, it's wild.
Oh yeah, it was like that a lot, a lot of stuff. But that's what I'm saying, and if you guys out there have never seen it, there's an old movie, Tom Hanks starred in it, called Mazes and Monsters. I think it came out like 1982 or 83 or something like that. Or, and
I definitely haven't seen it.
Well, no, it's an old TV movie. It was a made for TV movie, but it's basically a dramatization of an account of a person who actually had mental issues. He dealt with depression and all that kind of stuff, and he disappeared, and everybody wanted to say it was because of D&D. Oh yeah, because he played D&D. He played D&D, so of course the demons and the devils, because you had to see like some of those old shows. Oh my God, it was hilarious, because he's like, you see in the book it has trap the soul. I mean, what do you want expecting these children to be doing here? It says trap the soul. But did you read the explanation of it didn't give me a ritual. It didn't say go out and buy Eye of Newt and none of that. It just said when you cast a spell, if they fail their saving throw, character soul is trapped. Yeah.
It's wild to me, like, because you like the argument you presented to your teacher or your principal or whatever, how he's like the perfect like rebuttal, like, do you not enjoy fictional media? Like, what's the difference? Like,
no, because it had dark images, and we were opening ourselves up to the forces of creation that we were never supposed to know about.
That's so goofy, man. What you call it? But as another quick little, I guess, earliest role playing memory story, because you mentioned your your epiphany, or I guess earliest moment when you like discovered other games, right? So my kind of moment for that was, and I've said this on the channel before. I'm just gonna say it again, just because it fits the theme here. That me and Anthony were playing D&D for a while, like 3.5 and 5e or whatever. We played, not super regularly, but we played. Like, we played a decent amount. And it was fun. Don't get me wrong. I had a good time. But for whatever reason, it was just, again, we were having fun playing a game with / against each other, because we were playing D&D, so it was like us fighting the baddies. And at that time, I had like a real, like, I never played this before, and all I really knew about it was combat. So you can ask Anthony about this. One of the funniest stories from our games is me being a paladin. I just went ham on these like innocent people because I was just so combat oriented. I didn't give them a chance to talk, and I just went ham on them. And after the whole combat went down, he's like, you could have just talked to them, right? I was like, what? But either way, that's just sort of like what's leading me to my point is my like sort of like awakening, or like that sort of like, oh shit moment, I really get this, was funny enough being introduced to Cypher System. He ran, it was me, I think, I forget if it was Leo, if Leo was there, or if it was just Martina and Yuri. It's like my sister-in-law and her husband. It was a couple of us in person playing. I forget the exact group, but it was like, my family or whatever. And we were playing a horror game set in like a reality show. It was like Big Brother turned into like a zombie apocalypse or something, right? And I was basically playing Shaggy. And it was so fun. Like, I was getting, like, when we played D&D, I mostly, you can ask Anthony. I would sit in the chair, wait for my turn. I would kind of get into the role playing, but not crazily, right? It was just I was going through the motions essentially because it didn't really fully click. But then after sitting down to play Cypher System, we explained the rules and we're going through it. By like a quarter, halfway through, I'm getting up out of my chair, pantomiming motions that I'm doing, like pretending to roll under the table like I'm taking cover from zombies, like, and that's just a level of engagement I just had never experienced before. Like, again, it was the same fucking GM, like that, and it just harks back to it's like the system can make or break someone's experience. Like, and again, there's no wrong system. Like, whatever system you enjoy the hell out of it. But for me, that moment playing Cypher System, it all like came together. It was magnificent.
Dude, and see, and I think that's just the beauty of Cypher. I think Cypher System, I think it speaks, especially to new players or people who are not so entrenched in, a gaming system. That's amazing. He had you up out of your chair and acting out sequences and stuff. That's awesome. But that's what I'm talking about. That's what Cypher is for me. It is that freeing experience. So Anthony said, did somebody play the daughter from Bob's Burgers?
I'm pretty sure my sister-in-law's name is Martina. I call her Tina. I'm pretty sure Tina played Tina. I'm pretty darn certain Tina played as Tina. It was a person who was obsessed with zombies. I don't think she took it as far. If you know Bob's Burgers, Tina almost has a fetish for zombies. It wasn't to that degree. But yeah, I'm pretty, if memory serves correct, Tina did play as Tina.
Wow.
Oh, man. Oh, well,
so you guys out there, anybody got any questions? Want to ask anything about like the old days of RPGs? Maybe I could answer, something.
I will say this though, just as a little bit of a wrapping up like topic, or just to give us a little bit more to talk about here before we say our goodbyes. If you right now could go back to yourself when you were the youngest, when you started playing, D&D or whatever, and you could run a game for yourself, what would you run? Like, not just system, like what kind of like setting, like whatever, what would you run for yourself?
Because I know me, I would have definitely ran some, I would have probably, I would probably dust off like the old TSR Marvel superheroes, the face rip, and just like, sit down and let, 12, 13-year-old me, make this randomized character and then just blow my own mind with the craziness. Cause you know what I'm saying? Cause what goes on in your own mind. So just would be messing with myself. It would be like total chaos, cause, I'd be trying to come up with something to counter it. Like, wait a minute, this guy is good. What am I doing?
Oh, man.
I would definitely do that.
That would be a lot of fun.
What would you do for yourself?
For me, I would definitely run it in Cypher System. That goes without saying. But as far as what game, it comes down to probably 3 different things depending on how old I was at the time. When I was much younger, I would say like 10. Again, still very, creative kid, whatever. Around then would be like early console games. One game I played a lot was Shinobi, so I would probably do a ninja game. I was super into Shinobi 2 on the Game Gear. I remember beating that game, and I was so, like, again, I was like 10, 11 years old. I beat it. I ran around the apartment yelling. Like, literally, I can't believe it was like one of the first games I ever beat to completion by myself as a kid. You just ran, so I would be very hyped to be like, I could be a ninja in like real life. Like, I could pretend to be. So for sure, around that age would be that, for sure. When it comes to like the 13, like when I was role playing on AOL chat rooms or whatever have you, there would be 2 different ones, and this is another, the other 2 ones would be these 2, and this again would be the height of my, I guess, starting role playing. But either way, one would just fits the theme of what I was doing at the time, would be Dragon Ball Z. for sure would be a Dragon Ball Z game. You know, it's all the fighting, the cool fighting, cinematic, whatever have you. And funny enough, if I wanted to do something a little more story driven instead of combat driven, which is what, you know, my little me was combat driven. If I wanted to mix it up and still have interesting combat, I would do a wrestling game. Like what is it, WWF wrestling? Like, you know, there's drama, I would do a WWF like Cypher System game for my younger self. And I think little me, I've absolutely lost his crap being like, holy crap, I'm gonna like be in the same ring as like the Undertaker and Kane, and like, well, what's my role gonna be in all this? I'm like, and I could blow my own little mind like crazily.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. You know, you think about some of the stuff you come up with, and you know, you think back to yourself how vulnerable, or you know, or just where your brain will go. You know, I say it all the time, like when I go to the movies, when I go watch the Marvel movies, and they're really good, like watching Spider-Man, I always say it's good to be 12 years old again. And I just think about, you know, 12-year-old me. You know, if I could use Cypher System, okay, if you're telling me I could go back in time and run Cypher System for myself,
any system, because you're coming from the future, you can bring whatever you want with you.
Bring
Cypher System.
It would be broken there, because I would take Cypher System and I would just run like just everything. Because I was always that kid, you know, I fell in love with Torg because Torg was the first game to say, hey, listen, you can reality hop. Well, Rifts had come out first, but Torg had kind of did it, you know, with a kind of a cohesive idea where, you know, you could go in all these different realities, but you could play whatever kind of character you wanted. So yeah, I'd be running my own version of Torg with Cypher System, and it would be like total insanity. Superheroes and adventurers and robots, you name it, it would all be there. It'd just be crazy.
And hopefully with this past, you know, time shenanigans, we'll alter the course of history and make Cypher the predominant game.
Well, now that would definitely be, you know, I'd probably, you know what, if that was the case, if I could go back in time and do it, be like, hey, Monty, let me talk to you, man. Let me show you something.
But either way, Anthony was saying he would run Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for himself. I don't know whether that be in the TMNT system or Cypher. I don't know. I guess he can chime in and let us know. And he asked an interesting question here. I guess better question for you though, Dean, because this is outside of my realm. What old RPG do you wish was still making new editions?
Oh man. Again, and I know it's probably redundant, but probably anything along that TSR line, you know, the Marvel superheroes, I liked their percentage system. It was just robust enough that, you know, you had to house rule certain things, because, you know, no system is perfect, you know, mechanics wise, but I really miss the percentage system, and definitely what Marvel superheroes did with the universal chart was pretty cool, you know, because you would roll percentage dice and versus your opponent's target numbers, and then whatever your result was versus their target number fell on this chart, and you would get a white result. You could get white, green, yellow, or red. Red was critical, you know, yellow was intermediate, green was passing. If it was a white result, 99% of the time it was a miss, you know, or a failure, however you looked at it. But the universal chart was cool because it gave you guidelines to work within, and it just had a different kind of flavor to it, you know, but it wasn't system heavy.
I've never played it, so I'm gonna take your word on it, but it does sound pretty cool. I like that concept of having like that little chart that tells you how the tech might work out. Yeah.
I'll send you the basics on it. I got it in PDF now. But it was just cool system, you know. I mean,
but real fast though, Anthony, going back, and he said he misunderstood the question. He would run young him through Robotech in Cypher System.
That would be cool.
It's a pretty good choice. think that's a good choice.
Yeah, because I'm saying, I mean, we're saying, because like I said, I would have said Star Wars, but Star Wars RPG didn't get life until like the late 80s, early 90s. You know, I was a young man by then, but
And then we have what is it?
Star Wars Cypher Eyes would be awesome too.
Yeah. But what is it? Gonza says what is it? An old game making new additions, the old TMNT. That would definitely, I think that even now, I think would be pretty popular. People love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles still. Like, it's still a poppin' IP.
Well, I'm just looking at the fact that the traction that Power Rangers and this new GI Joe and Transformers is getting. So I don't see how Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. Late 80s, early 90s. I think if I remember correctly, Star Wars came out in like 86. The first here, let me look it up right quick. But I believe the first edition from West End Games came out in 1986.
But yeah, this has been a pretty nice chat. Like I said, it was gonna be a shorter one tonight. We had some little nostalgia moments. Speaking of Power Rangers, though, I have been itching to like do something with Power Rangers, like a one shot or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we can talk. I think I backed that. I think I have a PDF code I might be able to give you.
Wait. There's a TTRPG for Power Rangers?
Yes.
Oh.
Brand spanking new. It's been out like, I think the Kickstarter was last year, and I think the game's been out maybe 3 or 4 weeks now.
I was literally just talking about like doing it in a Cypher system or something.
Oh yeah, well I'm just saying you could use that as a.
It's free. Yeah, that's cool. I had no idea. That's awesome. I'll definitely.
Yeah, Anthony, it was 1987, so I was right. I thought it was 86, 87.
Transformers too?
No, Transformers and GI Joe. GI Joe is on pre-order now.
Wait. So cool. I had no idea.
And it's basically a D20 system, that they're using, but they've kind of modified it to work for them.
Cool.
But 87 Anthony Star Wars was released. 87 and 98 West End Games ran that beautiful game.
When I was what year did you say? 87?
87, yeah.
That was when I was born.
You were born in 80.
Yes, I was born in 87.
Oh, yeah, 1987. I was actually in basic training.
Jesus Christ. All right, I think we've had enough of nostalgia for one. That's wild. What the crap?
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, this has been a great talk. Thank you everybody for stopping by. It was definitely a nice trip down memory lane. I know this will also be up on YouTube, tomorrow for, if you want to share our stories with anybody who, wasn't here tonight, didn't have a chance to stop by, because, we normally don't stream on a Friday. We're a little earlier than usual. So, if you know someone who hasn't, didn't have the chance to stop by, you could share it, because we'll put it on YouTube tomorrow like usual. And yeah, if you didn't have a chance to, tell us what your earliest memory gaming wise or role playing wise was, definitely let us know in the YouTube comments. I definitely love hearing these stories, especially if yours is a little weird like mine, where it didn't really involve a gaming system, a specific one. I love to hear those like niche stories. Yeah.
those forums were crazy back in the day.
It's still wild to me that a group of people cared enough about PvP role playing, literally just one-on-one PvP, like just talking about fighting, not even talking about it, just role playing fighting, and it was an organization with judges and a ranking ladder and all this.
That was the Electric Ferret. The Electric Ferret was one of the pages like that I remember. I
don't remember what mine was called at all. It definitely wasn't that. But I don't remember.
I remember Electric Ferret was like that. You did.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about this stuff all day, but you know what? It's been great. Thanks to everybody who stopped by for stopping by. And I'm gonna just say, if you like us and you like what we do, come by, join our Discord. We have the largest fan-run Discord for all things Monty Cook games. And we have games being run all the time, different hours of the day, various time zones, so on and so forth. Not a fan of Discord, try our Facebook. It's not as big, but it's still plenty of discussions to be had there. You can subscribe to us on YouTube if you ever miss our Twitch streams, and of course, our content will always be free. Like we said before, we're trying to reach 1,000 subs on YouTube and 4,000 on Discord. So, come on through, join up, hang out, talk to us. You don't like us, join up, tell us that too. And if, these aren't your things and you just want to give us a little donation, you can give us a donation on Ko-fi. Always, those donations go to things like our Zoom costs and so on and so forth. And if not, stop by our store. We do have a merch store. We sell hats, notebooks, mugs. Soon, capes will be coming. We're working this out. So thanks, guys, for all the support that you show for us here at the CU. And we love you guys.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. It was a pleasure as usual. And sorry that you couldn't make it, Anthony. We miss you. Just want to give you another quick shout out before we get out of here. Hopefully Anthony will be on with us next week when we do our normal stream on Wednesday. But yeah, we will see you guys then. So from us at the CU, we will see you later.